Hi, everybody. You are listening to Rerun It Back Reflections on the Three Channel Era. I'm Scott. I'm Scott. I'm not Scott. I'm Jack. Who are
John,
you?
I hope you're not. I guess I'm Jack. No, I'm Scott.
This explains why I'm getting your email.
Yeah, would also explain why the volume of fan mail has suddenly ground to a halt at my place.
And we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We will.
Toward the end. But yeah, and this time around, we are examining BJ and the Bear. And no, it's not a sketchy roadside zoo run by country superstar BJ Thomas. And no, it's not an adult film set inside a Michelin star restaurant. And no, it's not a niche nightclub in West Hollywood. It is the adventure comedy show run on NBC between 1979 and 1981. Scott, did you ever watch BJ and the Bear?
I watched it. I cannot tell you that I remember much about it other than the theme song, which was kind of catchy, and the use of citizen band radios, aka CBs, the internet of its day.
It really was, and that's kind of what we'll get into. We'll just get into that right now. That was BJ and the Bear is something of it's a reflection of I guess the trends, the zeitgeist of the era. But it was also, a little bit of a plagiarism on Hollywood. But plagiarism's a heavy word. But it was borrowing from what was popular on the silver screen of the day. But we'll start with the CB craze, which the CB craze was kind of. It became this thing because of the gas crisis of the 1970s, and truckers would use these little, I guess, glorified walkie-talkies. They were a bit more powerful than walkie-talkies. And I don't want to get into the weeds on this, but this was something that they would use to coordinate as far as where, fuel was cheaper and where gas was available when, these guys who are being paid to haul food and whatever. That was happening at the time. But also, of course, you had Smokey and the Bandit. 1977, sort of a sleeper hit. It really resonated in the Deep South. It had some traction in the South, understandably. Also, let's not forget Convoy.
Yes.
Starring Chris Christopherson, 1978, which I believe was a Sam Peckinpah film, which is bonkers.
I don't know who directed it, but again, the theme song, I think it was a theme song, was also on the radio at the time.
McCall. Yeah, so it was a Sam Peckinpah movie starring Chris Christopherson. The song was, I believe, some C.W. McCall. I'm trying to find the thing really quick.
The point being is that in the late 70s, suddenly it became cool to ride on the highways and use this radio to communicate with other drivers, with truckers, and just kind of, get the lowdown on everything from, hey, good buddy, where's the cheapest gas along the highway, to, hey, there's a Smoky up ahead, to, I don't know. I remember my uncle had a CB radio for a while, and I remember he left me in his car while he ran in to get something at a convenience store and left the radio on. And my little 8 or 7-year-old self heard all sorts of language I had never ever heard before. And I don't just mean the lingo of, copy and over and good buddy and that. I'm talking like all of George Carlin's words you cannot say on television and more. Wow. It was pretty fascinating. Wow. And also, it was very easy to see people driving down the roads because they would have these massive antennas on their cars, much larger than the radio antennas that were on vehicles at that time. Yeah. And yeah, for a brief while, it was like, wow, these are like the internet chat rooms of the open road, except it's on a radio. And then
Absolutely.
it just kind of disappeared.
And the reasons on that, that's something that we'll, I guess, save for another episode. That's something I never really, because this is a lightly researched podcast, as you know. It was democratized media. It was a bit like the internet, in that there were some like, I think you had to have some sort of license or something, but that got kind of, because it was so prevalent, people just sort of just did it.
This kind of device is what Radio Shack was meant for in the late 70s.
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
But, to get back to our TV show, BJ and the Bear, this is what happens when, Hollywood or the network television decides they need to respond to the it thing of the moment.
Right. And I'm going to get into that. So let's just review. This show premiered in 1979. Now, Smokey and the Bandit, second highest grossing movie behind Star Wars in 1977. So it's got some traction. Convoy. And let's not forget one of the more popular TV shows that also sort of capitalized on this whole thing, Dukes of Hazzard, 1979 premiere.
Yes.
Now, let's introduce everybody to one Glenn A. Larson, who was the producer of BJ and the Bear. He created it, brought it to television. But Glenn Larson, who also created, now this was the show that I was more into at the time, which was Battlestar Galactica. I was a sci-fi nerdy little Star Wars.
Another classic of the era.
Yeah, another. So writer Harlan Ellison called Glenn Larson Glenn Larceny because he had a habit. Now, this is per Harlan Ellison. I think he had this sort of reputation around Hollywood for kind of repurposing things that were already out in the ether. Now, here's a fun story. I think he was running a show called Switch, which, if memory serves, that was Eddie Albert and Bob Wagner. He is accused, one Glenn Larson. Now, he is accused. This is not me leveling this down. This is per Wikipedia. He apparently stole an entire script from a Rockford Files episode to use on his show. He just basically changed a couple names here and there, blah, 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 blah. And this did not sit well with one Jim Garner. And I encourage you to Google James Garner because, in my humble opinion, man's a bit of a badass.
Oh, James Garner was amazing.
James Garner was fantastic. So apparently, there is a story that he visited Jim Garner on a set, and Garner fucking punched the shit out of him. Just did not like him. And going back to that earlier story about the Rockford Files, which was starred Jim Garner, he had to change the credit on this episode of Switch, and it was just the writing staff of the Rockford Files. So kind of amazing. So this guy, he sees, let's, fast forward to 1979, late the 70s. He sees that this is, okay, so I am going to create this show that capitalizes on the trucking CB, going to play well in rural, deep South, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, Smokey and the Bandit, number 2 highest grossing movie of 1977. He really didn't have to sell this show very well. But it's always important, if you've got a good show, you got to have a good star. Enter one Greg Evigan. Now, Greg Evigan Greg Evigan still walking the earth. God bless him. Shout out to Greg Evigan. I have a lot of respect for the dude because he's got stage chops. He was in Jesus Christ Superstar. He did the Chicago run of Grease as Danny Zuko, which is kind of a catapult into stardom if you look at, Travolta, Jeff Conaway, who would end up working on Taxi as well, Adrian Zemed of T.J. Hooker. Greg Evigan had a lot of chops as an actor, a lot of chops musically, and we'll get to that. But he, ended up singing the theme song to BJ and the Bear, which was also written by Glenn Larson. I'm not sure if he stole that from anything. But fun crossover. Greg Evigan also starred in season 3 premiere, episodes 1 and 2, Death Stalks the Big Top, in Murder, She Wrote.
Yes, which of course fans will recognize us having dissected to death just the other week.
Yeah, probably dissected it a bit too much. And what is the good/bad news of this episode? There are no episodes of BJ and the Bear online that I could find. It's not being streamed. For whatever reason, it's not on YouTube. I have some theories, and we'll get to that.
But we really need to talk about our friend Greg Evigan because
he's a musician too.
Because he is a musician, and there is something you can find online, which you sent to me the other day, completely unannounced, and it was one of those things that, having seen it, I can no longer unsee it.
So we're gonna this is gonna be the part where we share a little audio from this video, but what I will tell you is he is singing with a band.
The band, by the way, the band is I love this name, Ghetto Way City. That is GHETTO Way City. So Getaway City, yeah. And that name is scrawled on a fake brick wall in the back. That the band.
Oh, was that why? No, I did not know this. Now.
And there's also a lamp post up front, which at the beginning of this video, he is leaning against and playing not a tenor saxophone, the larger version. It's a big sax. It seemed like a very big sax.
I think he's playing a tenor. I think he's not playing. It looked like a tenor to me.
Anyhow, the man is you cannot mistake the fact that the man is playing a saxophone. And he's not just playing it. He's like,
Brothers Whalen.
He's really playing it.
He's got chops. I got respect for Greg Evigan. I'm not clowning on Greg Evigan.
It's the band behind him that looks so clearly like they were assembled in a Hollywood casting call for a band. Because I just have to get into this because this is so fabulous. You have the bass player, who is a black dude in a t-shirt, and he's got a wool cap pulled over, and he's just kind of doing his bass dude thing. He's just in any sort of R&B or funk band. And then you got this white dude with a beard and long hair, kind of like, I don't know, one of those country singer who sings the Monday Night Football theme song with his cowboy hat and all that. And, he could just be in a Southern rock band, and he's on the guitar. And then you got the drummer, another black dude who's got this kind of funky Western hat on. And I think he's got sunglasses on too. And then right next to him is the keyboard player, who's this balding white guy with glasses who keeps looking over his shoulder very intently to make sure he's staying in time with everybody else. It's amazing.
I got early Doobie Brothers vibe. It looked like the cast of a made-for-TV biopic about the Doobie Brothers.
I would say more the cast of a made-for-TV biopic about a band loosely based on the Doobie Brothers, because this is just a little lower budget.
Because they couldn't afford the rights to the music.
Well, he wasn't, he had not quite yet established himself. So, he had to be modest in his expectations. And I think he did this well, except the song and the lyrics are just, if they're supposed to be romantic, they're painfully so. Because he's basically talking about in the refrain that all he wants to do with his woman, besides apparently not talk, is hang out with people that he knows that he likes.
Yeah,
I mean, that's about as milquetoast a sentiment as you can get.
Yeah. I gotcha.
I mean, it's like,
so
yeah, I just want to hang out.
it was
people I know, baby.
It's God love him. He branched out. So with the show itself, so the premise of this is he's Billy Joe McKay, freelance. This is for Wikipedia, and it's probably best that we could not locate an episode, so we're basically going on shards of memories here. Professional freelance itinerant trucker. I just love that phrase.
That's a lot of adjectives.
I know. Yeah. So he travels the country sideways in a red and white Kenilworth with his pet chimpanzee Bear, named after Bear Bryant, legendary college football coach. We find out he's a Vietnam vet, flew a medical helicopter. So there's going to be some helicopter action happening. And there was. So that's pretty much your show. It's adventure comedy. It doesn't get terribly intense. It's pretty lighthearted fare.
Yeah, this is like fun chimpanzee, not like rip your face off chimpanzee.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. So the star, I was trying to find out because obviously the 8-year-old me, I'm not watching it for Greg Evigan. Shout out to Greg Evigan, but I'm watching it for the monkey. Excuse me, the chimp. But it's a monkey.
The primate, if you will.
But yeah, fuck it. We're calling it a monkey. So there is not a lot of information I could find about this primate. I saw something about something named Sam that was roughly 20 years old during filming. There is a lot of uncertainty around, who played the monkey, what did the actors who played. It's pretty safe to say the monkey's life didn't go well after the show.
What you're saying is that somewhere, in some retirement community for chimpanzees, there's a really old chimp sitting in a rocking chair, like, God damn it, I was fucking screwed. They screwed me out of my royalties, out of my fame, everything. Yeah, there is one really, really bitter chimp out there.
I would say it was more like kind of going the Danny Bonaducci career track, maybe hosting a morning show on the radio, perhaps, appearing in dinner theater or something. But let's, here's the thing. It's like when I was a kid, my mom, one of our family friends worked at the nursery at the Kansas City Zoo. And one time we went to the zoo and we got to hang out, in this area behind, the scenes. And she had this living room office area where animals could kind of hang out. And I was playing with a chimp and a baby mountain lion. And they were the best of friends. They were just absolutely the best of friends, which is very poignant because, when they're adults, you really don't want to put them in the same room with one another.
Probably not. But basically, you're describing what would have been an awesome Instagram reel back in the day.
Absolutely. So here's what my assignment to you all is. Google St. James Davis chimpanzee attack. Scott sounds like you know what I'm talking about. It is the most disturbing thing I think.
Do we really need to be encouraging people to look at things that may traumatize them online?
No, it's not. No, there's no pictures. It's very theater of the mind. So I'm not going to be worried about that. But I think it's really, in retrospect, and in an interview with Page 6 with the New York Post a couple of years ago, Evigan said that BJ and the Bear would not be made today. And I think that really is probably spot on, just given the treatment of how just the way the animals were treated. And I would assume they were not treated terribly well, which would explain why it never was streamed, or at least it hasn't been streamed. I found, I believe, the pilot on a Facebook page, but I wasn't going to sit and watch. I wasn't. Look,
you just couldn't. The curiosity had its limits. It's much more of an interesting premise. It's a much more interesting premise to discuss. That no, and okay. I mean, let's be honest. This was a show that ran 2 seasons, which
three. It ran 3 seasons, but your point stands still.
But so okay, dude, he was a trucker. He had a pet chimpanzee. So on paper, it's like, hey, this kind of plugs into the current craze for trucking and CB radioing, and it's got the cute animal angle, so the kids are going to love that, and it's got a handsome young actor, so the ladies are going to love that, and it's got just enough action that, well, dad might sit and watch or not. It doesn't really matter. Maybe Dad's likes trucks. I don't know. Well, actually, he'd watch it for the CB thing and then go out and buy one. So you see, on paper, great family entertainment. Unfortunately, it didn't really happen. And honestly, in my opinion, if you feel the need to add a child actor or an animal actor to your television program, you're just really hurting for eyeballs.
That's that's a hot take, dude. That's a hot take. No, you're right. You're right. So you're absolutely right.
What did all of this get us in this strange roundabout 20 plus minutes is people I know, the video, the song. If nothing else, don't worry about watching BJ and the Bear. Don't worry about playing the theme song from it. Go to YouTube and type in Greg Evigan, people I know, and you too can watch that saxophone and those tape pants and that sprayed feathered hair, and it was very
we'll include the link on that. So do you have any other takeaways?
No, other than the fact that I can see why he didn't quit his day job.
That's he did go on to My Two Dads, working off Paul Reiser, and so brother worked. Didn't need to learn to work the saxophone any better, as it were. But no, that's the well played, Greg.
Yeah, no, and I will say just this as a complete deviation, because the other thing that popped into my head when I watched this is the 80s for pop music, and I realized that this song was probably late 70s, maybe.
Yeah, it looked very 79.
I'm going to say, yeah.
Okay, say 80.
The 1980s, I'd say by the mid 80s, that was kind of peak saxophone for popular music. Saxophones were everywhere. In Excess, for example, Duran Duran. The saxophone scene from Lost Boys. I mean, for a while there, the sax was the thing. And then, like so many other things, it was killed by grunge. And like today, you just don't have saxophones in pop music the way you used to. And that's kind of a shame.
That's a shame. I would bring it back. I think we're all in agreement that the 70s were about kung fu and saxophones. So would you like to hear my takeaways?
Please.
And my takeaways are, I think moving forward, I'm going to try to include 3 takeaways from this, from whatever the hell this was. Number 1, James Garner was a genuine badass. Again, Google him. Badass. Number 2, Evigan, probably a decent Danny Zuko. And number 3, chimps are terrifying. Actually, to clarify, baby chimps are cute and funny, but adult chimps are monsters.
Yeah, you don't want to fuck around with a chimpanzee. I mean, general, respect all wildlife because reasons. But yeah, You do not want to fuck around with a chimpanzee. By way of mentioning this, because it's also a 70s, 80s thing that we could perhaps go to on a future episode, James Garner was the pitchman for Polaroid cameras in the late 70s and the early 80s.
I'm trying to remember who was the actress.
I believe Marriott Hartley.
Oh, yeah.
And then
everybody was like, oh, their chemistry was insane.
We're bantering. They bantered and shot film and were the best of friends. And it was completely unthreatening.
And everybody thought they were fucking. They were not fucking.
No.
Because James Garner was a family man and a decent gentleman. Yeah, I got nothing else. You got anything else, dude?
I got nothing else. This was kind of a little one-off episode, but, it's because we were both distracted by all the plans we got for Thanksgiving, which are mainly just answering more fan mail. All of mine is going to Jack now, so I don't have as much.
And I just please stop sending underwear. They're not in my size.
It was supposed to be a joke.
They're used.
I think they're used. People, we don't need any underwear. We don't need any outerwear for that matter either. Somebody sent me a pair of overalls.
Are you getting coats now too?
Well, not so much coats. I got a cape, and I think I got a Peruvian poncho. But it's
now
not
I'm jealous.
That's not my size. I think it was designed for somebody shorter than I was. Wow. But I mean, I appreciate it. If you're out there, I could really use a nice new winter coat, maybe. But in general, save your money, people. Save your money, people. Really, there are other people who have needs far greater than ours. We're just needy in terms of your attention.
And if you're going to send me more underwear, either just wash them, and I don't wear double extra large. So just please, and I generally wear new underwear as opposed to literally I wear new underwear. I just buy a new pair every day. But at any rate, thanks for tuning in, whoever listened in, and, God bless America. We love you.
Yes, thank you. Everyone have a fine Thanksgiving holiday. We'll be back in early December with more fun from Gen X childhood. What?
One last thing. December, holiday month. We're doing all shows about the holidays. And you're just going to have to tune in and find out what the hell we're talking about.
I'm going to have to do that too. Okay, now I got to think about this because my holiday knowledge basically goes as
I did
the movie A Christmas Story.
Yeah, I didn't send you a memo on that. That's my bad.
All right.
All good.
Peace
out.
Until next time. Bye-bye.